Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Southside Agenda podcast with Charlie and Zidane. Hope you guys enjoyed the last episode. It is currently 12 o'clock, Saturday, September 11th, and we got a game tonight at 6:30 against the Red Sox in Game 2 of that series. And Zidane, what do we got planned today? Fun episode.
Obviously, Charlie, big series in Oakland, away in Oakland. You know, they're a very good team. We're a very good team. We're trying to finish up the season well. Oakland's still trying to maintain their wild card pace. Fun series, interesting one for White Sox. We have to talk about it. Then Red Sox series, already game one. We're going to review that. Pretty fun game too. Crowd was electric in that. Then the rest of the games today and Sunday. We're going to talk about those, preview them a little bit. And then Charlie, a segment we have been wanting to do for a while. Just really couldn't fit it in because it is a pretty lengthy one. It's a pretty special one of our favorites. One of the ones most important to us, I feel like. Best play-by-play broadcasters in the MLB. It will be separated by teams. So there's one guy, anyone who's listening should know will be on the list, probably number one. But we'll see. Charlie, you want to start it off with the first A's series takeaway?
Yes, Zidane. And Tim Anderson is the glue that keeps our lineup rocking and our defense solid. That's really the takeaway in simple terms. But if we want to go into more of the analytics of it, or more of the why of that statement, is he's a perfect leadoff hitter. He's got some pop. He hits for average, and normally in a leadoff hitter, they can play some defense and they're pretty quick. Tim Anderson fits all of those. What's the word? Whatever. But he fits whatever you want for the perfect leadoff hitter. And more important than that, he's energetic and he represents the White Sox, and he's represented our team for the last, the last couple of years, honestly, even before the rebuild even started, I guess, because he's been here for a while. But we're 4-5 against teams over 500 since Tim Anderson picked up the knock against the Rays. So he played a couple of those, maybe like one or two of those games in between, because he was just trying to see if he was okay. But we're 4-5 against teams over 500 since Tim picked up the knock. And in those 5 losses, we've scored a total of 8 runs. So we would be averaging 1.6 runs a game in those losses, which just shows how much offense he creates and how much of that spark he creates when he is in the lineup. And in those 4 wins, we have 25 runs. And then we would be averaging 6.25 runs, which is actually pretty good. And that's really it with Tim. Like when he's not in the lineup, we're not winning games. It's as simple as that. And he took batting practice yesterday, and I think he took batting practice in Oakland. The day before. I don't know if we had an off day. We might have. But yeah, he's been taking batting practice, and he should be back pretty soon. But it's the question of when will he be fully healthy? And we're assuming he will come into the lineup fully healthy, but when will he heat up? And really, Zidane, that's all that matters at this time of year, is about heating up and getting into the playoffs. But Zidane, any thoughts about Tim, and just what did you see in the Oakland series that made you think that Tim was really, really the glue? We already knew it, but what did you think?
Charlie, even when some games where the White Sox offense is off, with Tim in the lineup, it just felt like there was still a chance. You felt like we're going to score runs at some point. Maybe we won't win the game, but we'll score runs. And in this Oakland series, other than the first game where we scored 6 runs, this offense is anemic. It's terrible. Obviously, on 3 games set. First game, we do win 6-3, big 5th inning. But it just doesn't look like the same offense, if you know what I mean, where it's like we're getting a little lucky, where we have to take more walks. We have to take more singles. This is not the team that this is. Sure, we're not as home run heavy as last year. But Charlie, even in the stats this year, home runs help a lot, as you saw last night with Jose Abreu. We'll get to that later. But then, Charlie, you score 1 run on the Wednesday game. I believe Frankie Montas plays that game. Obviously, whenever Dallas Keuchel starts, it's a bad day already. But when the White Sox offense only scores 1 run, it just makes it a lot worse. And then again on Thursday, we only score 1 run again. I mean, this is just a completely different team without Tim Anderson. I mean, if you look at it statistically, it doesn't really make sense because you still have Eloy, Luis, who are still both playing well. You still have Jose, who's still chugging along. Like, I mean, it's Jose Brady. What are you going to expect? Yasmani's come back and been hot. You have Gavin Sheets back in the lineup, who does provide a little bit of a spark, a little nice lefty bat, might homer once in a while. Pretty good player. But it's just, I think it's something mental. It's like Tim Anderson as the leadoff guy is just that true like spark for the team where he just gets the offense going. I mean, almost all you see a lot. Any White Sox rally starts off with like a Tim Anderson single, Tim Anderson double. That just lights the fire in that team. And I just guess it's not there without him. I don't know how you fix that problem. I don't know if it's really a fixable one. You just got to hope that you keep playing above 500 ball. And with pitchers returning from the IL, I believe Lance Lynn's supposed to make Sunday. Then Giolito is the first one against the Angels, if I'm correct. That's the timeline that Tony Lewis is going. Obviously, Rodon was great last night. So once you get pitchers back from injury, it won't be such a heavy burden on the offense to carry guys like Dallas Keuchel, who are, I mean, let's be honest, there's only one guy in the rotation like Dallas Keuchel, my bad. But even Ronaldo, Ronaldo looked good. Like he did not have a bad start. He went like 5 innings, I think. Obviously, he didn't strike out the most, did give up a few runs. But when your offense doesn't score anything, what do you want a guy to do? So I just got to say this. I mean, you need Tim Anderson back. You got to hope that he comes back healthy, is able to continue. I think he will. But right now, I guess for the immediate future in this Red Sox and Angels series, just hope that your pitching is back healthy and gives a little bit of support for that bad offense right now. And then I believe our second takeaway, Charlie, is the White Sox at away games. And I mean, if you watch any White Sox game, you'll be able to see it clearly. As long as it's not Wrigley, it's going to be an interesting game, Charlie. What do you have on the White Sox away and their record, and what does it talk about with this team?
Yeah, I think before we get into that, I'm going to say one more thing about the leadoff batter situation, because if you remember, obviously, you remember this, injuries at the start of the season, right? Abreu did not start off hot. He usually doesn't start off hot, but he was swinging at terrible pitches because he felt like he needed to do most of the work. And you would think like the batters or like the batters around where Tim would be in the lineup would feel like that now with Tim not being in the lineup. But like you still got Luis Robert batting leadoff. Like, and he's a perfect leadoff hitter as well. He's got lots of power as well. And it's just weird. Like you don't really know what the deal is because those like Luis Robert and Yoel Moncada went first and second, Robert then Moncada on the game on the 8th. And like they both went over. So it's really interesting. Like you would think that they would be like, I don't know what the correct way to say this is, but you would think that Tim Anderson is the glue, and he is the glue, but Luis Robert is batting first, so he should be creating as well. But they're both not when he's not in the lineup. It's really weird. And then when he is in the lineup, it seems like everyone's hitting. When Tim's in the lineup, it seems like everyone's hitting, so it's interesting. But the White Sox have a 34-36 away record on the season. You look at that, then you look at the other top teams' away record, and they're all better. They're literally all better. The Rays away record is 43-27. The Astros away record is 38-22. We move over to the National League, and the Braves away record is 39-22. The Brewers away record is 47-24. The Giants away record is 46-27. And do you want to know something? They are all playing in better divisions than us. Every single one of those teams are playing in better divisions. It's just a fact. The NL Central, yes, it's mediocre, but they are all, I think that's a better, well-rounded division. Like in the AL Central, you got the Sox and the Indians, and that is literally it. The Reds are a tough offensive team. The Cardinals can be tough sometimes. The Cubs are kind of bad, and then the Pirates are not good as well. But there's some more consistency. Obviously, the NL West speaks for itself. and the NL East speaks for itself, and then the AL East obviously, and the AL West. With the Astros, Mariners, A's, Angels can give you a tough time as well. They're all playing in harder divisions than us, so it just shows like what's the deal with when we play in away games. And I mean, really, the only thought that comes to this is what's it going to be like in the playoffs, because that's the only time that it matters. But you got you playing away, and then you got the crowds on top of that in the playoffs, right? So it's going to be even more harder. And it's the problem if do we show up, do we not show up? But our home record is really good. It's among one of the best in baseball, in 47-24. Listen, Zidane, I'm going to make this prediction right now. We might only lose like if we make it to the World Series, just saying that, we might only lose like 1 or 2 games at home, I think. Like that is it's a fortress. Like Guarantee Rate Field is acting like they're English soccer stadium right now. Like I need to like I mean, for you guys who don't watch soccer, when someone scores a goal, you can see limbs flying around because they're all jumping up and down. When we hit a home run, it's obviously not that crazy, but it's really, really crazy. You saw the Jose Abreu home run last night against the Red Sox in our win, and it's looking pretty good. So, Zidane, I mean, what do you think? Home versus away? Why are we? I mean, tough away. I mean, there's going to be some tough away games in the playoffs.
I mean, I think that's critical in the playoffs, Charlie, because no matter what, you switch off. Like, you're going to play in New York or Boston or Tampa or Houston. And Tampa's a little bit easier than the other ones, but we'll talk about their attendance later. But, I mean, when you go into, like, Yankee Stadium, who you may definitely see in the playoffs, you can't be bad. I mean, this is like all of New York, like so many people. Stadium's going to be packed. The energy's going to be crazy for the Yankees. And you're already not good at away, and then you add that on and the pressure of the postseason. I mean, I just don't understand it, Charlotte. Like, you have to get better at away. And we do have a little bit of a road trip in the end of September. I mean, it's not against very good teams. It's like the Rangers, Tigers, and the Indians. But still, you gotta take those road trips and make sure that they count, because you got to adjust to away ballparks. I mean, you can't just be a home hitter. And I think you find this with Coors a lot. All the Coors effect and stuff. Then I think the best player for my example is DJ LeMahieu. Obviously not playing as well this year, but everyone before he went to the Yankees was like, wow, this dude is a Coors dude. Cannot hit anywhere else, because his OPS was like 800 at Coors, like 7 something. So it's a big difference. I mean, Trevor Story has this problem too, which will be interesting in his free agency. But then he went to the Yankee Stadium and he adjusted and he got better. White Sox just have to do that on a regular basis. You have to adjust to away ballparks. I mean, Charlie, teams in baseball play so many away games. You have to adjust. I mean, I don't know exactly what the problem is. Like, I'm not a major league player traveling around ballparks. I don't know how to fix your away splits and your home splits. But you just got to get better, because no matter what, when the playoffs come around, you're going to be away. And you cannot lose every one of those games. You cannot be a below 500 team when you're trying to make the World Series, Charlie. And I guess I'll give away some of my playoff prediction, because we'll probably do that at the end of the season. But let's say Tampa and us do play, which I think will be probably the most likely one. Even in Tampa, you have to adjust. You have to be better, because you can't lose 2 games to Tampa Bay. Because even though you're home and guaranteed rate is electric, Tampa Bay's a really good team, Charlie.
You're going to get screwed by that stadium a couple times as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you'll hear some guys say tear it down. I mean, that would be entire White Sox community at some point. But Tampa Bay can easily win games here. I mean, they did it before. So you cannot. I mean, if we lose both, like 2 games at Tropicana, you cannot have that. You cannot have that. Because when Tampa Bay comes to the Guaranteed Rate Field, they can easily win. I mean, Troy, all I'm saying is they got to get better away. Like, you cannot have a below 500 away record. Home, you'll love, because I think we are the best team at home other than the Dodgers, who I think they're 47-23. I think we're 47-24.
The
If I'm
Dodgers
correct.
are home. They're 47-23. Yes.
That's a pretty good place to be with the Dodgers at home. So you love to see those home splits. You just got to make better away, because playoff time, you're going to be away. You got to be better. Charlie,
Yeah.
I think that's it for the two big.
One more thing, because this might be, you're saying that you just got to get better at away. Say in the playoffs, maybe it's just stay consistent at home and get a couple of away games in those series. Because if we stay consistent at home, we will carry momentum into every away game. Will we win the momentum? We will win. Will we win with the momentum carried into that said away game? Who knows? But at least we have momentum coming off of at least 2 wins at home, because that's something that we can do against any team in baseball, literally. And maybe it's just the fact of, hey, we need to stay consistent at home. We'll get a couple of away games and we'll win a World Series. Maybe it's as simple as that. Because with the playoff, you never know. Playoff baseball is the weirdest thing. The Washington Nationals won the World Series in 2019. And that team, I don't think was stacked going into the playoffs. But they weren't stacked, but they were hot. And that's what we need to do. Stay hot at home, maybe get a little away run coming off the end of the season and carry it into the postseason. But a win yesterday against the Red Sox. I could not watch that game at all. I watched the last pitch, Liam Hendricks on a 3-2 count, gets the out. But what did you notice? What did you notice from the crowd? Why was it electric? Rodon, he didn't have his best stuff, I've heard, but he still got it done.
Well, Charlie, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch the entire game, but Jose Abreu's home run. I mean, I I can't think, but I'm thinking of a certain Jose Abreu home run where the crowd was again electric. I think we posted on Twitter. It's like English soccer fans or something, where everyone went crazy. I think
The Twin series.
Twins, where he like ties it up. No,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, I think so. Twin series, and then another one against the Yankees, maybe, where
Yankees
like
tie
ties it
game
up.
where we
And
end up losing it, but yeah.
yeah, but like, who cares about losing, winning and losing, bro? You just want to be the cooler team, and we're obviously cooler than the Yankees.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just, and I only feel like this when it's Jose Abreu sometimes, where it's just like, crowd is electric. It's like, this is against like the Twins, and this feels like a full stadium. I mean, night games, Charlie, and I think this is another split that's interesting for the White Sox. They are much better at night. They are insane at night games. They're like, their OPS, I think, is like nearly 100 points better than day games. I don't know if they just can't see the ball or what it is, but they're a lot better at night. And this was a night game, Troy. Rodon, interesting. You know, he plays pretty well up until I think the 5th inning, where you see some of that velo start to drop. He starts throwing like 93. His slaughter goes to 79. It's like hitting numbers he never usually hits when his velo is there, but he still does get out of it with, I think, 3 foul outs. Good enough. I mean, Rodon gave you 5, had 7 Ks, only 1 earned run off a Bobby Dahlbeck home run. Other than that, pretty good stuff. Michael Kopech came in, was pretty good. Michael Kopech was good, and then Bummer, Tepera did not have his good stuff. I mean, Charlie, we've been great Tepera supporters because we're like, hey, let us see the man. We haven't seen him in a while. Play him. You did. Kimbrel was great. I mean, that was electric. And Liam, obviously, we tweeted Charlie. Liam Hendricks case. You're always going to be hype. Just talk about the offense. You know, Jose had a good game, but other than that, it was pretty kind of from the offense. Like, you obviously have Jose Abreu's 3 home run, then only an RBI single by Robert, and that's all the runs you score. Again, need Tim back in the lineup. Red Sox do try to mount a comeback. I mean, they had a good 7th inning where it's like a ground out by I think Vasquez maybe, and someone scores, and then Verdugo RBI single. came close. This is a good team. This is a fun team. But hey, Troy, so a win is a win, and we got it. What do you have for the first game in? Probably previews for the next two.
Yeah, I think one thing you got to mention about Rodon is he did hit 97 last night. And again, we'll mention it every time we talk about his starts. This guy has not pitched this many innings in his whole career. So you're going to see the velo drop. But like hitting 97 is good, dropping is fine, but 7 Ks in 5 innings is good. And he did not have his best stuff from what I've heard. And I mean, like you said, the offense was pretty eh. I mean, Robert and Moncada get hits, Abreu and Eloy. But other than that, it was Goodwin, Cesar. That's about it, and nothing really else. And we move on to tonight, and that is a game that I will be watching every pitch of. Starts at 6:10. Connor Siebold versus Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease has one of the highest strikeout counts in the major leagues. And is it I don't know how many, but it's a good number of consecutive starts with what is it? Something Ks. I don't know if I know. Is it 10 plus? Or is it like 7 or is it like 8? Because Dylan Cease is striking guys out, and he's striking guys out at an alarming rate. Like this guy is getting swing and misses. And we're going to really see him against a good offensive lineup tonight. And this is Dylan Cease's playoff debut for me right here. This is his playoff debut. This is what, if I'm looking at him tonight and I'm thinking, all right, you're facing guys like Hunter Renfroe, very hot. And there's always that one guy in the playoffs, like Randy Arozarena last year. There was who's the Mets player a while back?
Daniel Murphy.
Daniel Murphy, yes. There's always that one guy who breaks some record in the playoffs, right? And Hunter Renfroe, right now, if this was the playoffs, he would be that guy because he's mashing the baseball. And it's going to be interesting to see what Dylan Cease would do against those hot batters. And it's not just Hunter Renfroe. Like, look at the lineup last night. Again, Xander Bogaerts, he's not having the greatest season, but he's a really good hitter. Kike Hernandez can absolutely murder the baseball. JD Martinez obviously can murder the baseball. Rafael Devers, he's one of my favorite players in the league. I still think Yohan Moncada is better, but he is one of my favorite players. He's awesome. And it's going to be really fun to see what Dylan Cease can do. I hope he can carve up some batters, with the curveball. Bro, he's hit 100. He's hit 100 on the fastball, 99, and then he finishes guys with the curveball. Listen, Dylan Cease has been one of our most improved pitchers this year, obviously, because Rodon and Dylan Cease. But Dylan Cease, this man has 197 strikeouts on the season, and this is Connor Siebold's debut. He doesn't have any stats on the season, so I would assume I've never heard of him. But Dylan Cease tonight's on 11-7 record in 148.2 innings pitched and a 3.8 ERA. What are you looking for?
Strikeouts, Charlie. I mean, that's what Dylan Cease, when he has the control, when he has that curve, that slider. It's the Ks. If they come, they come, and when they do, it's a good start for Dylan Cease. And I think the main thing, Charlie, is again, offense has been terrible. Run support. I would love for Dylan Cease to go scoreless tonight, but I just think that's a little too optimistic. I think you might see like 1 or 2 runs. I think he may give up like 1 home run, because you see this sometimes with Dylan Cease where he just like kind of misses that curve. He leaves it a little up, a little inside, and it just gets absolutely mashed. Still has a great start, but he does give up that 1 runner. If I had to guess, I think we may see a Rafael Devers home run this game. Hopefully it's just a solo bomb, but I just feel like against Dylan Cease, when he misses with that fastball, it's a pretty good pitch to hit if you can time it up, because you get great exit velocity, great launch angle on it. But Charlie, Dylan Cease, he's a great pitcher. I'm so happy. I mean, he has basically carved out a spot in the rotation for himself. And I feel like that's what Ronaldo's trying to do right now. As Dallas continues to struggle, Ronaldo keeps chugging along, pitching well. He wants that spot, but Dylan Cease has already basically done it. I mean, Charlie, I'm thinking back to last year when like this guy stinks. Like, he sucks. No one's going to say that now because he's one of the best strikeout pitchers in baseball. I mean, I think if I'm trying to remember like a graphic, it's like Garrett Cole is leading the league right now. You know, like Zach Wheeler, Corbin. I think Rodon's up there too. And then like at number 5 or number 6, Charlie, Dylan Cease. He's up there. Like, I'm not saying he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's not. But he strikes out guys. He's great at it. Against Connor Siebold, I'm going to guess that it's probably going to be a bullpen game for the Red Sox. Whenever you see guys with like their debuts, it's usually like they go 1 or 2 innings and then pull them. Will be interesting, but who knows? And then Sunday, Charlie, Lance Lynn. Hopefully, if Tony's right about it, back on the mound. It was supposed to be Chris Sale, which would have been insane.
So mad about that. I want to see him, man. I miss Chris Sale. It's always a gift when you get to watch him pitch. This guy, like, I've said this a lot on the podcast before. Whenever I went to White Sox games in person, Chris Sale never pitched. And it was always like James Shields or some bum, right? I never got to see him pitch, and I don't remember seeing him pitch in a while, you know? I remember the last out of the 2018 World Series. I remember, you know, obviously I remember his debut from this year because I watched that. But, man, I really want to see Chris Sale pitch. It's not going to happen, but Lance Lynn, whoever we're going up against is going to be the better matchup for us. I think Lance Lynn is going to be ready. Carve up some Red Sox hitters on Sunday. Sunday's going to be a fun day. Bears' first game of the season at 7:20, so that's going to be a packed day. We're ready for that, and hopefully we get to see a White Sox wins it on. Anything about Lance Lynn for Sunday? Obviously, not too much to say because we don't know who the Red Sox is.
No, other than it would have been so fun, Charlie, to see a Chris Sale start back in Chicago, back from his time, John. I mean, he's been pretty good, Charlie. I mean, he's been striking out guys insanely well. And then obviously he's been on a short leash with like 5-6 innings. But if we do face the Red Sox in the postseason, Charlie, game 1 starters, Giolito versus Sale, hopefully he'll be at guaranteed right field. I might have to go, Charlie. I mean,
might have to. I think you'll want to go to every game.
Yeah, I mean, like, Charlie, I'm gonna be honest. If I could, and I guess I kind of could, but like in a dream world where my parents let me spend all my money, you know, postseason tickets are a little bit expensive, maybe a few, but like personally, I would go to every single game. Like, I'd be like, all right, school. They'll understand, right? They'll understand.
Probably not. I mean, it seems like lots of them. Well, I don't know. They'll probably all root for the White Sox since they were all Cubs fans. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, I'm putting up the little hand, whatever, you know.
Air quotes.
Yeah, air quotes, whatever you call them. Cubs
Chicago
fans.
sports fans.
Chicago sports fans that they're not. I'm not a Cubs fan anymore. They really suck right now. I really have a tough time watching them play. I think I'm going to root for the White Sox. Like, you can be like kind of happy if we win, but like, come on. Like, you need to show some loyalty. Like, did you not learn from the first time? Like, you didn't win a World Series for 100 plus years. And you show, obviously, most of those people are not 100 and whatever, 8 years old, but you showed some loyalty and you got a World Series in 2016. So why don't you just do it again? Like, the Cubs, like, they're not a really boring team to watch because Schwindel and Wisdom are fun players. But whatever, like, come on, like, show some loyalty. Like, you can, will you cry if we win? No. Can you root for us? I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but like, I am not receiving texts from Cubs fans either saying, haha, you suck if we lose in the playoffs, or, oh, I'm so happy for you. I was rooting for you guys all the way. Like, no, you weren't. Like, I'm going on one of my rants right now, but no, you weren't, because there's too many Cubs fans. They're like, oh, I have not watched a Cubs game in months. Like, we are so bad. Oh,
well, Troy, let me say this.
Yeah.
I can forgive like you being like, hey, you know what? My team's out of contention. I'm still a Cubs fan. But you know what? In the playoffs, I'll be like, hey, it's fine, White Sox. Go get yourselves a World Series. We already got one. You know, we'll be back soon. Maybe talk a little bit trash. But what I can't understand is people like, oh, White Sox, baby. Let's go, Timmy. That's my boy. Like,
no.
no, like you've never been a White Sox fan. And honestly, Charlie, if they gave less homework, I'd probably be able to forgive it. But I got too much physics, Spanish homework to not. So, you're Cubs fans. Just agree with it. It's fine. You guys suck. Get used to it. I mean, you've sucked for a pretty long time. I mean, other than like 2016 and 2017, y'all have been trash. It's not anything new. Y'all know what to do with it. I mean, you guys got rid of Steve Bartman. You ran him out of town. But for all of the 2000s, trash. Most of the 2010s, trash. Now, again, trash. Get a Frank Schwindel jersey and calm down. That's all I
Yes,
got to say.
that's all you
So
gotta say.
then, I think our favorite segment today, one of our favorites of all time, best play-by-play announcers. Super, super important in baseball because a boring play-by-play announcer says, because when you have a boring play-by-play announcer, like, I wonder if there's an NBA game going on. And if there is, you turn that on. You're like, I'm not a WNBA fan, but I do like to see some buckets. So you go watch the WNBA because no one wants to sit and watch a baseball game on TV and be bored. And because a boring play-by-play announcer in baseball, like football, you can forgive it because like a 40-yard touchdown is a 40-yard touchdown. Like there's nothing with that. But like if it's a single or a double, but the guy's so boring, you're
I'm gonna
like,
turn
do
this
I
off.
care? Exactly. So these top five dudes, they make you keep that on. Even when their teams are losing, they're still energetic. And I find myself laughing a lot recently with the St. Louis Cardinals announcers. Whenever I think they had the Daniel Vogelbach walk-off grand slam, and then Shatsugo on the Pirates walked them off too, and they were just like, "I'm out." Like they were completely energetic. They're like, "All right, when's this broadcast ending? Like, let's hurry this up," because they were like, "Oh, Vogelbach to end the game, walk off grand slam." Yoshi Satsugo Pirates win it. Like they were so energetic. Understandable. I don't know how I would be if I was like broadcasting White Sox games. I'd probably be pretty pissed. When the Yankees beat us, I'd be like, oh well, can't say that on live TV. So, Joe, number 5, best play-by-play announcer. I know mine, but who's yours?
My number 5 is Dwayne Kuiper of the San Francisco Giants, and I think he's got to make everyone's list no matter where he is. I'm assuming that I will have him higher, but him and Mike Krukow, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but they work really well together. But Kuiper is it is just classic. Dwayne Kuiper is classic. His voice is classic. Every home run call is awesome. I don't even have to say it. If you've seen the Barry Bonds clip, you know what I'm talking about. And if you've seen Mike Yastrzemski hit home runs, if you've seen Brandon Bell hit home runs, obviously, one thing I'm really mad at is that he wasn't announcing the Ishikawa World Series clincher, not winning the World Series, but clinching home run to make it to the World Series. I'm mad that he wasn't announcing that because that would have been fun. But Piper, man, I know he'll be on Zidane's list, so I don't need to hear what Zidane needs to say about that because he'll say him later. But Zidane, what's in your fifth spot?
Fifth spot. We going up across the border, Charlie. Toronto Blue Jays. Now that they're back at home, it's even better because when like those sounds come in, like boo, with the fans, they go absolutely crazy. Buck Martinez, love his calls. I mean, he's energetic. He's got a cool catchphrase with "Get up, ball, get out of here." Whenever you see a Vladdy home run, it just fits. Like, all right, that's the sound that a Vladdy home run makes. That's what Bo Bichette sounds like. Like if you had Joe Buck announcing Vladdy home run, you're like, don't like that. Don't like that. Like, nope. So Buck
We know
Martinez, he's
he's not
iconic.
making your top 5 then, I guess.
I don't think he even counts, like Charlie. He's just like half a baseball announcer. I mean, I honestly think, Charlie, that they should just find another dude for baseball. Let Joe Buck do football because I like him in football. He's all right in football. But like, come on, guys. You can like just have Jason Benetti. All right, just do Jason Benetti. Like no one's gonna complain and be like, "Oh, Benetti's trash." Literally, no one. I've heard no one. Obviously, I'm mostly in White Sox circles, but everyone likes Jason Benetti. Everyone does, even Cubs fans. Even the Cubs fans I know, they're like, "Wow, yeah, you got a good announcer." Like they try to go over, it, but I'm like, no, we got Jason Benetti. Like, but anyway, Buck Martinez, he's iconic with Blue Jays. I mean, he just fits totally with our generation, with the host Batista, Edwin Encarnacion, Josh Donaldson. Some of those hype Blue Jays moments, most of them were like nationally broadcasted in the playoffs, but still, Buck Martinez, iconic. My top five, Charlie, numero cuatro, para tu.
My number 4 is Matt Vasgersian, and Matt Vasgersian, he does sometimes have some weird calls and some calls that you just wish he didn't say. Calls that you wish like just worded a little bit differently, because a couple of weeks ago he had some really weird call. Like he kind of goes out of his announcer kind of costume and just talks like he's on his couch. And sometimes that is good, but I feel like he sometimes he does that too often. But when he's hyped and when he's on, Matt Vasgersian is such a fun announcer, man. Like he fits Ohtani so well. When he's announcing Ohtani blast, that's awesome. And listen, when Ohtani hit the bomb off Dylan Cease in the first series of this year, that Matt Vasgersian call was really, really good. I just didn't pay attention to it because I was sat down on my couch saying, "Oh, is this Dylan Cease again?" Turned out that it wasn't. But I love Matt Vasgersian. He's the voice of MLB The Show. By the way, we're posting a lot of MLB The Show tweets on Twitter, and even past that, Zidane this week on Twitter has been absolutely on fire with 21,000 views on the Jake Lamb tweet. And again, if you're not watching this on YouTube and you're in your room and you're listening to it on the Spotify version or Apple Podcast version, watch it on YouTube. And if you're not, follow us on Twitter at Southside Agenda, because you got me and Zidane's tweets going pretty crazy this week. I got a couple with like 50 or so likes. Zidane heading toward 200 likes and 20,000 views on the tweet and 3,000 engagements. I like that from you, Zidane. But yes, MLB The Show. We're posting some MLB The Show content on there, and we've asked if we should have we don't really know what our audience is, but if our audience is a little bit younger than we think, we could do a little bit of an MLB The Show segment on the show. But yes, back to the actual topic. Vasgersian is the voice of MLB The Show, and he fits that game really well. And really, he's the voice of baseball for young kids now that are playing that game, which I really, really like. But Zidane, what's your number 4?
Number 4, Troy. You already mentioned him. You knew he was going to. You just knew he was going to be on the list. Dwayne Kuiper, Giants. Legendary. I mean, that's all I got to say. Legendary. I think it goes back to my favorite call of all time. I feel like I bring this up a lot. Barry Bonds beating Hank Aaron. He hits it high. He hits it deep. I mean, that's iconic, Charlie. Like I watch that video every week because that just gets me hyped. He's a great announcer, man. He makes Giants games fun to watch, even not as a fan. But like when Yaz hits a home run, like I can get excited because the announcer brings you in. He brings you into that Giants world.
The other Yaz.
Like the one on the Giants.
Yes.
Dwayne Kuiper, he just brings you into being like a Giants fan. Like he makes you feel like, oh yeah, I'm a fan of this team. I want to root for them. Legendary. You know, they'll be in the playoffs, so they'll have even better moments. But he's been great this year. Great throughout years. I mean, I'm thinking like Andrew McCutchen's walk-off home run when he's on the Giants for like a month. Insane, great announcer. I mean, all of these guys are great, but like they just have their own iconic styles, which is nice. Where you got to be like, that guy sticks out to me as a good play-by-play announcer. Charlie, I believe you're number 3 spot.
Yeah, one thing is like I wish they mixed these guys in playoff broadcasts, like at least a wild card. Like do like a Jason Benetti in a wild card, do a Dwayne Kuiper in a wild card game, or even some of the playoffs, and have whatever you want. I mean, if you want to keep Joe Buck, put Joe Buck in for the World Series, because he is the voice of playoff baseball, if we're being honest. And which leads me into my number 3 spot. Zidane's gonna be mad, but it is Joe Buck. I don't understand. I understand some of the hate. Me being hopefully a future broadcaster, I do lots of watching broadcasts. But yes, Joe Buck, he sometimes doesn't show enough emotion. But when he does, and he does show emotion more than people tend to think, and He's the voice of playoff baseball. That's why I love him so much. Does not seem impressed with my words right now. But I'm gonna say this right now. The only reason he's not in the 2 spot is because he doesn't announce for a team, and I don't get to see him, literally every day. But this man is awesome. Like, you think of all of the awesome calls in the past couple of years in the playoffs, it is Joe Buck. And Zidane, this is how I envision. And I envision the White Sox in playoff baseball. I see you shaking your head, but just wait, hear me out. I envision me and you watching playoff baseball together. I envision me with our families watching in my basement, and I hear Joe Buck saying, "Welcome to Game 1 of the World Series. It is the White Sox versus the Dodgers, or White Sox versus the Giants." I envision that, and I envision Joe Buck saying that, and it gives me goosebumps. And I don't mind Joe Buck. Like, you can say whatever you want about the Astros, but that Altuve home run is one of the best calls I've ever witnessed in my life. Like, and that was before I knew they cheated, so I was rooting for the Astros. So, come on. I think Joe Buck doesn't deserve all this hate, and I like Joe Buck, and he's good. That Stephon Diggs call in the NFL was awesome as well. But Zan, what are your thoughts? And what's in your next thought?
Well, I'm just surprised you put him at 3. Like, I can understand kind of where you're coming from, putting him like on top 5, but at 3, Charlie, at 3. I mean, because at number 3, Charlie, I got the Mets, Gary Cohen, and I kind of want to do like the whole broadcasting group, but I guess I'll stick by play-by-play. They're just fun, Charlie. They're a fun group to watch. I'm gonna be honest. You may find this surprising. I don't watch a lot of Mets games, not usually. It's not my area of expertise. But whenever Jake DeGrom pitches, whenever it's Stroman, when you're watching a Lindor home run, Javi even, they're fun calls. Like, and I mean, I've seen them like videos of them joking around in the booth. It's a fun time at the Mets broadcasting. I mean, you got to be because you're the Mets. Like, you got to have fun at some point. You're not going to have fun as a fan. Have fun listening to the broadcasters. They're great. They're funny. They're exciting. They're enjoyable to watch, which I think is one of the most important stuff. That's why my number 1 and number 2 dudes are my number 1 and number 2 dudes. Mets are great. They just aren't as good as these top 2 guys. But Charlie, who's your number 2 guy?
After that statement, I think we do have the same 1 and 2. My number 2 is Dan Orsillo of the San Diego Padres.
Wow.
And yeah, this man is just a bundle of energy. Like, how do you even, like, sometimes I don't even screen this loud at my TV when I'm watching the White Sox games, and this guy's doing it on live television. Listen, Don Orsillo could be one of the greatest broadcasters we see in the next couple of years. He could be Jason Benetti announcing. Well, by the way, we'll get into Jason Benetti next, obviously, because you just know where he is on our list. But Don Orsillo could be announcing nationally, and he could be announcing, like, say, the Olympics, or announce a different sport, because whatever this guy does, it's going to be fun. He could announce I'm just trying to think of like a sport with like very little action. He could be announcing a Olympic diving meet, right? And he could be screaming into his mic. That's how electric he is. When Jake Cronenworth hits home runs and he says the Crone Zone, you're in the Crone Zone. When he says that, Tatis, Don Orsillo is awesome. And he's number 2 because he fits San Diego so well. He fits the Padres so well because the Padres, every single player is a fun player. Don Orsillo is a fun announcer. Zidane, what's in your number 2 spot?
Well, I don't know why you had to do Olympic diving like that, Charlie. But number 2,
I like diving, but it just doesn't have lots of action.
Well, I think some people would argue differently, Charlie. But anyway, number 2, Don Orsillo. I mean, electric. I mean, just electric. I think back to like that Red Series. I don't know if you remember this, Charlie, but the Red Series where it was good games too. First game where it's like full Petco Stadium and like actually full Petco Stadium. Whew. Insane. I mean, any Tatis bomb's fun, but like his most recent, it wasn't Don. It was, I think, Ted Leitner or their other dude, and it just felt weird because like this isn't the voice that's supposed to be there. This isn't as exciting as it should be. He's just electric. I mean, he has to be one of people's favorite broadcasters because he gets you hyped for Padres moments every time. He's like he and Tatis are perfect together because they've transformed this team in a joy to watch. He may not be my top one guy because it's impossible for him to be my number one. Like, you know who's my number one. Charlie knows who's my number one. My number one's Charlie's number one because you knew what was going to happen. But Don Rosillo, amazing announcer. If it wasn't for me, like if my number one guy didn't exist, Don Rosillo's basically there. I mean, it is a gap, but I still think it's like 1A, 1B because these two guys are great at their jobs. But Charlie, number one, we got to talk about it. Why is Jason Benetti your favorite play-by-play announcer?
I like that intro. You didn't even have to ask me. But I don't know what it is, Zidane, with actually I do know what it is. It's because this White Sox broadcast is just so well put together every single game. And I probably say that because I don't watch other broadcasts, but like everybody in you when Jason Benetti says thank you to all the guys, all the names, Chris Withers, their producers and everybody in the backroom staff, like they all do such a good job. And Benetti and Stone, man, like they seem like they go, it's just one guy. It's Benetti and Stone. But we're talking about play-by-play guys, so we're just gonna have to shift to Benetti. But every call is electric from Jason Benetti. And he offers that really, really, really good analysis. I mean, it's elite level analysis for a guy who's never played baseball. And this is a guy on my number one list of people who I want to meet. I want to go to Sox Fest and I want to meet him and I want him to give me tips on broadcasting. I just want to know more about him as a person because the Southside Agenda Twitter account is a Jason Benetti fan account. That A's broadcast with Gordon Beckham. Also, Gordon Beckham, I think he's gotten a lot better as the season has rolled on. He's announced it must be like 10 or so games, right? But they put together the best broadcast of the season, cracking lots of jokes, Sox math videos, the Sox files, everything is just fun. It's funny. It's electric. And Jason Benetti, he is the most versatile broadcaster in baseball because he does many sports. Football is actually really good. He announced the Virginia Tech game, and that game was really good. Who did they play?
North Carolina.
And he was electric. Like, I watched the touchdown clip, and I'm like, this is Jason Benetti, and I'm so happy that people get to watch him on live television. He got the Olympic job. I want him to be announcing in the playoffs. He's perfect, Zidane. It sounds like he's God because that's how we're portraying him. But Jason Benetti is amazing. Why is he your number one as well?
I mean, I don't know how any White Sox fan could not choose him. Like, just he's Jason Benetti. Like, that's the White Sox. Because when it is Lancaster, and I do like Lancaster, I do kind of like him. Like, I like his voice. He has a good voice. Like, it's kind of the same thing. But just, you're like, because anytime you turn on a Lancaster broadcast, like, wait, this isn't Jason Benetti. This isn't right. Like, you'll be able to go through it. But Benetti, and I mean Stone and him, always cracking jokes, but he's such a good play-by-play announcer. Like, gets hyped, but he still brings like a comfortable level to it where like you're watching like your neighborhood broadcast where you can feel comfortable, sit down, just watch a White Sox game. He does it so well too. I mean, he's one of the best broadcasters in all sports. And he does basketball games, he does football games, and he's still good at those. But you have to bring it back to this baseball one, the White Sox. I mean, just amazing, Troy. Just amazing. Like, for anyone who wants to be a broadcaster and is a fan of the White Sox, I mean, you have to look up to Jason Benetti. Like, obviously, you have Hawk Harrelson, but like, I didn't really listen that much to him. I'm basically a Benetti. Like, I've only heard Benetti. Like, the moments that I truly remember, it's Benetti because he's just that good. With this team, with how fun it is, with how good it is, you're just going to see better and better moments from Benetti. I cannot wait in the next few years to have even more. But Troy, the game where they present those World Series rings, like the first game back after who knows which season, this one and the next, that's going to be crazy. And you know what? You'll be listening to Benetti because he's that good. I mean, sure. I don't know how anyone could argue it. Like he's just amazing at his job. There's nothing else I can say.
Want to know what they need to do for the playoffs? They need to do a Twitch stream. It needs to be Jason Benetti and it needs to be Steve Stone. And they need to be streaming on Twitch with face cams with their headset, but announcing the game. You know, I would shut off the national broadcast so fast. I would get the Twitch app on my TV and I would play it in an instant because that's how much I don't want. Well, listen, again, I like Joe Buck, but like I would much rather listen to Jason Benetti call a really biased game because like he would go crazy for the White Sox moments. They need to do that. But if we don't have anything else, we're going to close out the episode. We started at what, 12? It was 12 we started, right? So it's just under an hour. And we got the game tonight, we got the game tomorrow, and we'll probably be back next weekend with another episode. And by that time, we'll play the Angels, and that's going to be a fun series. We'll see Otani. And listen, we're in September. Like we're really close to the end of the season. And again, obviously the record's looking good. The hitting is not the best, but we need to be hot. We need to stay hot with the pitching. And we'll get there. We'll be in the playoffs and we'll be ready to roll with Jason Benetti as our number one announcer. But Zidane, I'm going to close this out and we'll see you guys next weekend. Thank you.